This is the Doubtless podcast, here to help you change from a state of doubt and insecurity towards a more calm, confident, and doubtless self. I'm your host, coach and psychologist Julian, and my guests are remarkable, ambitious humans who share their stories of doubtful moments, of their insecurities, and how that shaped their successes today. I have this thing coming back, and when I was preparing before the call, which is, I trust you to show me what I need to see.
Oh,
So let's start with that.
yeah, why not? Why not with that? The one statement from you which blew my mind and didn't let me go ever since. Yeah, I mean that's a perfect summary of a great way to approach life, which was extremely weird and unknown to me in the beginning. But I think that's probably the best way to approach life that I know right now. And it's very in contradiction to what I did before, having very clear goals, always being like, what is it that I'm going to want to achieve? And it's this. Okay, now let's go this way, no matter what. And unfortunately, this approach works to some extent. But to me, it was always very, very costly in terms of quality of life at the end of the day, which is very weird because initially the idea of a goal is to make my life better. And then on the way, I tyrannize myself so much to achieve that goal that it's just terrible. So yeah, trust me. I trust you to show me what I need to see is the contrary to that. Not having these clear-cut goals in terms of I have to achieve this and only when I achieve this, I'm going to be happy. No, just wait and see.
That is so strange.
That is very strange. It's very strange.
Because like when we met, it's about a year ago almost, yeah.
Yeah.
And it
feels much longer, to be honest.
Yeah. We had so many calls in between, so much change, I think. But I think already back then it was pretty clear that you had a plan for how things should go.
And yes, should. Absolutely. Yes.
I remember you took over the task of just like building this huge tent, essentially. Like, I know how this go. I've done this. I have the goals. I know how things should go. And that was so, like, in that moment, very impressive. I was like, oh, wow. Like, he really took a responsibility. He took the part of, I'll take care of this and guide everybody else because I know the direction. I know where things are going. I was like, oh, wow. It's pretty cool. And then the more we talked was like, actually, the thing that looked so impressive from the outside and gave you so much skill was at the same time also the opposite was true. It was holding you hostage to, I need to always have this plan and have the direction.
It's a great example because, I mean, on the one hand, it's very useful to have these skills. I'd rather have certain skills than not have them because they're extremely useful. But I think it's more about the mindset I apply to this. It's or do I hold myself hostage to the outcome I expect? And if anything diverts from that expected outcome, it's up to me to fix it. So then that's, I think, where the part is the part where it goes astray. But I mean, the skill itself, it's great to have skills, no matter which ones. But I think it's the expectation of the outcome and the inflexibility to adapt to changes which are or opportunities which arise along the way. I think that's what really puts these tight boundaries on myself. Yeah.
And when was sort of the first time that you noticed this approach of having those clear-cut goals and having this direction, maybe even holding yourself hostage to exactly the thing that you need to do, didn't work.
Definitely. And it,
didn't 100% work out anymore. When was that? Like the first doubt in that approach, let's say.
I think I realized that something's off for years and years and years. I mean, I started to on this personal growth route when I was in my early 20s. But I think really realizing that I want to change this and I need to change it was only maybe 2-3 years ago, something like that, 4 years ago. Because there's also great satisfaction in reaching your goals. And that's why I said before, unfortunately this approach works to some extent because I always reached what I wanted. It's not that I didn't have my successes. It's more like, okay, then I got it, and what's next? There was no pause. There was no appreciation. There was no appreciation, I think. And I still don't really know what to make of this because there are a lot of people. I can't remember where I heard it, but it was one of the big podcasts where one of the guests said, you need to start your day aggressively and attack. And it's like, Jesus Christ. All right. Maybe it works for you, but it certainly did not work for me.
Maybe you were not aggressive enough.
Yes, that's probably it. I have to torture myself some more because then I'm gonna get what I want. That's
exactly.
For sure. Yes, yeah. So I really don't know, and also, I mean, it's also in my business. It's a really weird situation I am in right now because it feels this approach feels so odd. Can I really go into my office in the morning and not have a plan and just see what's gonna happen? It's like, no. Well, maybe. I don't know. It seems so counterintuitive. And also a lot of successful people probably would slap you in the face and be like, dude, what's wrong with you? Get a plan. You have to, do stuff and be proactive. And so it's, I don't know. It's an interesting topic.
Yeah, let's dive a little bit into that because there's this, when you now talk about it, I think it's so, I understand because we had so many conversations, but if you would had to tell me as if I didn't know, what do you mean by that approach of, can I just go into the office and see what happens? Like that sounds so, like of course, if you work, you have to have some to-dos. You have to have a direction where you go because otherwise, why do you have a business? And maybe also quickly, what business do you have?
I have an online marketing agency. So we do ads for our customers, basically. And they book us, of course, to get them more revenue. That's basically it.
There you go, clear goals. But
yes,
how can you just go into the office and say, okay, I'll just see what happens? Aren't you
don't know.
Just doing like random stuff that are not productive and not useful?
No, maybe. Yeah, that's totally was my assumption, but it's not because I think there are two levels to it. I think everyone has very clear goals to some extent because I do get up in the morning. It's not that I just lay there and be like, oh, whatever happens. I notice myself, this body is doing stuff all the time. So obviously there is a very clear motivation behind that. But I think my own motivation is not really that clear to me myself. And then I can start to overlay that with ego goals. I need to have twice as much revenue next year as I had this year, But I think that it's very worthwhile, I think, to really notice where that motivation comes from. And I think when I say, go to the office and see what happens, I think I try to strip away those ego goals, these things I think I have to achieve to be happy or to be successful or to get to a certain place where I need to be, because that place is certainly better than where I am right now. So that's all this mind illusion going on there, which I think is I try to strip away when I say just go to the office and see what happens. And then things happen, you know. I get a call, or I answer an email in a very good way, which I would not have been able to do if I had forced myself into this and be like, or I see these emails right now, I have to answer them, and I have to do it now, because if I don't do them now, nothing gets done. Like, no, that's not true. That's not true. I don't know. Can you relate to that? Is this getting clear what I want to say?
I think it's so fascinating, this, because I totally relate to, especially the first approach of I need to push myself through it, because if you want to achieve something,
it's got to be painful if you want to achieve something.
You need to sacrifice something.
Yes. And you do have to sacrifice something, because it's just you cannot do everything at once. But I don't think a sacrifice necessarily has to be painful if what you're sacrificing it for is worthwhile enough, you know. And I think that's the point. That
was powerful night. Felt it. So like how I see it as well is like, I remember when I started the first podcast that I ever had, the Ambitious Sloth, fascinating journey, and my approach was there. I need to like have higher listener numbers. I don't know, 2,000 listeners in like 6 months, and I set my goals there, and like every week essentially to be better. I know exactly what to do. I need to post those clips and promote it and stuff like that. And I had them very, very clear written out. I'm gonna go there, and if I don't reach there, I need to like push more. I need to invest more.
Yes.
And
if it doesn't work, it's up to you to make it work, man.
There you go. And you know how many times I reached that goal?
0 times, probably.
But you know what happened then?
Why can I relate to this?
But you know what happened then? Then afterwards, when I noticed, I set my goal for like 6 months. 6 months are here now. I didn't succeed in that. I must be a piece of shit, because I can't do that.
This is the only logical explanation,
right? I must be really terrible at what I'm doing, because otherwise I would have achieved this. Otherwise, I would have pushed myself to
that arbitrary goal you kind of came up with on the fly for no good reason. Why 6 months?
No, there's good reason.
2000?
Because I thought then I would be happy.
Well, that's actually true. There's always good reason. That's actually very true. Yeah.
Because I thought I would be happy then.
Yes.
Once I finally reached that marker.
Yes.
So I think to some extent I relate.
Yeah.
But that's
so terrible.
It's this thing that I had it so good in the podcast. Alex wrote it said it so good in the podcast, that there is this thing that we have in our minds, that on the other side the grass is greener. Once I achieve that, once I have that, I will be happy. And simultaneously, if that is true, if on the other side the thing is greener and I will be happy, then simultaneously this right now must be not good enough.
Yeah.
And then you're like, digging your own grave, essentially.
Yes.
And so that's exactly what was on my mind. Like, I need to have those listeners. I need to achieve this in order for this to be successful and me to be happy. And hence that didn't work. I must be a failure. I must be worthless. I must be not good enough for it. And
yeah, I think it's a good marker always when the structure kind of is always the same, isn't it? Now I cannot be happy, but in the future, when I achieve this and this and this, then I'm going to be happy. And this is such a good marker of a completely failed thought system. It's just when I first heard this this idea, And I think it was as well Alex who told me that kind of structure. Man, it's so brilliant. This is so brilliant. This just to notice this structure, because it's always the same. Now I can't be happy. I have to have this, and then I'm gonna be really happy. And as soon as I think that, I notice things that in my mind, I immediately know, okay, that's not the truth. Absolutely not.
What is that then? What is that telling you this? Why is that there? What is that? What do you think?
I mean, it is. I sometimes wonder if we can only talk about these things because we have such a ridiculous high standard of living. There's nothing, no one here is scared to not have enough food tomorrow. And I don't think that it is impossible. When you live in scarcity, I don't think it's impossible to be happy in the moment. But I think probably personally for me, it would be much, much harder because everything would be, all these fears would be much more imminent. And I think for a situation like that, I think this kind of thought pattern is probably helpful just to ensure survival. Yeah, I would guess, that would be my guess, that it has something to do with bare necessity survival, and to have a motivation or a very strong, I don't even want to call it motivation, but a mechanism to scare you enough to make sure you don't let any possibility slip. I'm not really sure it works, but I would guess that is kind of the mechanism behind it.
Okay, I don't know where I picked it up, but I was reading an article that was actually going into more of let's say native tribes, or tribes that don't have like the technology that we have, don't have the high standard of living that you were just mentioning, and they seem to be throughout way happier. And that makes me think then that we build all of this stuff, all of the comforts, all of this nice equipment that I see right now, all of the food that we had the other day. So it's like, yeah, but does that actually make us happier?
I think the question is, what does happy even mean? And I don't even think that happy might be the end goal, to be honest, because do I really strive to be happy? I don't really think so, because what is happy? It's a satiated moment in time, kind of, and then it's gone. I don't even, I mean, even imagining how it would be if I was happy all the time is just weird. It just doesn't seem right. Because I think it's more, I mean, what do I want to achieve in life? Do I want my life always to be easy? Yeah, at some point, yes, some part of me, of course, but I don't think that motivation is I don't really trust it when I wish my life to be easy, because it seems so futile. Isn't it much better to do things that are worth doing? And they're not going to be easy. I mean, before the call, I was late to our call because I told you we had just had a child that's six weeks old, and that's certainly not easy. Does it make me happy right now? No. Sometimes I want to punch it in the fucking face. But is it worth it? Yeah, fuck yeah. So do I want to be happy? No, kind of not. And then, of course, yes. So I think it's the wrong question. are these tribes happier? Because I don't think it's the right perspective to look at it. But what I would guess is that they have much more tasks in their day-to-day life where they see the immediate benefit and gratitude of others. I mean, what do I do every day where I have this immediate feedback? I sit in an office all day almost, writing emails, typing things into my keyboard, and of course there's some payoff for my customers or for whatever. But everything is much more detached compared to going out in my garden and planting a tomato plant, and then it's there and I see it grow, and I think my guess is it has much more to do with that immediate connection between what I do and what the payoff is, and I think that's very removed often in at least my life. You know what I mean?
Totally. I think there have been a lot of studies as well with it, that we just feel more connected, we feel better, we feel like we're contributing to something when we actually see the impact that we have.
Yeah.
I think there was a study with a cooking crew that cooked for like a huge canteen, but they never actually handed out the food to the people. And so they were just standing there all day in the kitchen, preparing the meals, right? But not seeing.
Sweating, hard work.
Yes.
And it's just, what the fuck, what for? Yeah.
And you don't see what it's actually for. Yeah. And then the people who give out the food actually see, oh, wow, that looks good. They see the people enjoying the food. It's like, okay, that's why I did it. And they switch that and like let the people who cook also be part of the team that gives out the food. And they were so much more connected, felt so much better, it felt so much that they contribute something than before.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that makes a huge difference. Seeing actually what you do, the impact that you have. I think that's why I love to have those one-on-one sessions rather than like yesterday I had like 2 webinars for like a bunch of people, like a huge number that was on the screen. And it didn't
and everyone
really matter.
is just a number. Everyone is just a number.
And it was like, because everything needs to be anonymous, it was like anonymous user 1, anonymous user 2. It's like, okay, cool.
And they are not, but they appear to be.
Exactly. So that's why I love the interaction in the chat then, that I, have actually questions and see what the answers responses they give. But the one-on-one is still so much more rewarding to me because I see when they have insights, when they understand things, when they get moved, when they do stuff in themselves. And then at the end of the session, they're like, oh, wow. Yeah. And I have something to take away from this. It's like, okay. All the hours that I sit here, the hours that we're studying, is worth for something that can help this person go through the challenge, through that doubt, or whatever it is.
Would you say that? Because to me, I don't even think happiness is the right word. It's more to be content. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Because happiness to me is always very fleeting. Happiness is going to a party and feeling great, and then it's a very fleeting feeling, whereas to be content is much more precise to me to describe this state of being maybe we want to achieve.
I actually think that it's not one thing we strive for, but actually it's the balance. Because if we strive for one, at least in this universe, there's always the opposite attracted to it. If we go onto heights and feel ecstatic, usually in one of the next days, there's a day where it's low. And only when you really feel the low, you can really go up again. Because otherwise you're on this neutral path that it's really hard to feel. Like your body normalizes those emotions when you constantly for a week feel really good, and that's the new norm.
You
And
really
when
think that's also always part and parcel of feeling good, so to speak, to have a phase of feeling miserable afterwards?
I maybe a quick example to that. I was 2 weeks ago. I was in a Shaolin temple, the Xiangyi school, and I was tortured to do exercises that were so intense. And you know what at the end was? I felt so great. I didn't want to leave because I knew how it was training me. It was training my mind, my body. I felt so much stronger afterwards, so much better, and had so much more clarity. And it felt, as you said, worthwhile. It was like I did it on purpose because I saw the reason and I saw the benefit and I saw how
And
I changed.
yeah, and going back to the very beginning, I trust you to show me what I need to see. I think it's the same thing. It's not about doing what is easy, and more about maybe what is relevant. And I guess, actually, because I was just wondering, going to the office and just and just see what's gonna happen sounds so it's just doing the easy stuff, you're not willing to put
Sounds
in
so
the work,
hippie.
Exactly. But I don't think it's really that. It's much more what your example brings to light, so to speak, is yes, it's fucking hard, but I see the relevance in it. I see the purpose in it. And I think that's the path somehow.
So you
And
see the
it's
purpose in this. I trust you to show me what I need to see in the letting go, the openness for the
no,
moment.
yeah. I think
Okay.
the I trust you to show me what I need to see is at least for me is key to be open to see the purpose and not my bullshit ego goals I set more for myself. I think that's opens up this new perspective, and then I do the things that are maybe relevant right now, even though they are hard. Just like you went to the temple and were tortured and were like, no, I don't want to, but yes, I kind of want to.
Yeah.
Or if I'm really honest, that's where I'm supposed to be right now. And I think it's so, at least for me, it's so easy to miss this. Oh, this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And it's always there. I can always have access to it if I am open to be shown, kind of. Because I don't think I can make that for myself. I can't go there. I mean, of course, I can go there and be like, next year I want to have twice the revenue I had this year or last year. And this is the thing. Unfortunately, this approach works because I can achieve that if I torture myself maybe hard enough, and sometimes I can't, but sometimes it works, but it misses the point. It misses the point of noticing right now what is relevant right now. And that's, fuck yeah, man. If I manage to be guided by that, everything's going to be a huge adventure. And I don't know where I end up, but it's probably pretty good, I'd guess. Probably much better than what I can think about myself, because twice the revenue next year, what a fucking boring goal. Seriously, is that really where I want to spend my time? Yeah. But I'm going to be much happier because I'm going to have much more money and I can buy this and do that and blah, blah, blah. It's just such a shit show. Oh,
And do you have a situation where that happened, like just throughout the day, that you were like running after this ideas?
yeah, all the time.
And how do you notice? How do you get out of this?
I think the most important thing is
Like, do you have an example for that? I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah. That's a good question. Yeah, of course. I always run. I mean, when I'm with my kids and I think, oh, we need to go to today morning. My 3-year-old, I bring him to the kindergarten every morning, and getting him ready for kindergarten sometimes works well and sometimes doesn't work as well, which is just ridiculous, because what I mean is takes maybe 10 minutes longer and shorter compared to each other. And this is such a perfect example, because already no one cares if we're 10 minutes late to kindergarten, except me, who is stressed when it's like 10 past 8 and we're still not in the car, and it's just completely ridiculous. And I think I noticed that I get angry. My mood is just way off. And I think that's always a great marker that there's something off right now, something I don't really see. Or I think it's a great marker to myself that I'm caught again in that mind. I don't even know how to call it, this mind game, which leads nowhere. So yeah, and then just knowing that already helps a lot. Doesn't mean I'm relaxed in that moment, but it's like, oh, maybe I don't have to take it as seriously as I thought I have to. So yeah.
Okay, so at least how that sounds to me, one of the most important things is just creating some awareness for it.
Yeah. And I don't even think you have to create it. It's just, I even when you hear this right now, you will not be able to forget it, because it's so existential. Because I don't even know how to describe it. It's like you cannot. It's like some things you cannot unsee, and that's one of those things. Because next time you're angry, you're gonna notice, and you'll be like, "Oh, wait a minute, I heard something about that. Oh, whoa!" And then that's already enough to create that awareness. It's not your responsibility to create it. It's given to you in some mystical sense somehow. Or yeah, I don't know. It's a very
Do you think
amazing.
there's a higher, bigger source that's doing this for us or to us?
I think it helps to act as if that's the case. Yeah, for sure. 100%, because I think that is really, I mean, that's also what kind of God is, or the Holy Spirit, or whatever name you want to give that. I think that's what we point to when we say these words. Oh, it's giving, because I don't know where my next sentence comes from. So I don't know. I don't pre-plan. It's like, I don't know what I'm going to say next. So where does it come from? Is that it's so natural not to know that we forget how natural it is. I don't know what I'm going to do the next second, where I'm going to move my hands. Everything is not under control at all. And I'm kind of in the passenger seat in that roller coaster and looking, oh, this is what's happening, what I am doing right now. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. Where does that come from? I don't know. And I think the answer to that is probably God. Whoever knows what that is, but I don't think we can really, it's the best way to describe it. Like, yeah, so I don't know if there is something like that, but it, for me, it definitely helps to act as if there is this higher source. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I have my difficulties with seeing that. I had my difficulties with like acknowledging that there might be something, because everything needs to be logical and understandable,
Yes.
and I need to,
Yes.
with my mind, understand it. If I don't understand it, it's not there. It doesn't exist.
But isn't it what is that is very interesting, because what is the logical barrier to accept? I mean, if it was like that, there is a higher source and we are all guided, wouldn't it be completely logical to, I mean, that chain of reasoning, wouldn't it be completely logical that we're all guided, if that's the assumption?
I think so. Yes. And actually, do we have that free will, like at all?
I have no clue. I thought we have. I'm not so sure anymore. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm warming up. I'm warming up to the. I mean, the point is, at the end of the day, I think true is what works. That's the ultimate test. Even if you're 100% scientific, the highest judge is the experiment. That's it. And
The experiment or reality?
The experiment. The
Okay.
experiment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because you have a hypothesis and you try to disprove it, and what remains must be then the truth. So you have to, if you go about it completely scientifically, you don't care about your own presumptions and your own little way of how you think it works. It's just, okay, I think up this hypothesis. I think I think up a way how to test this hypothesis, and then I do the test and I see what happens. And that's the judge of it. And for me, my life works so much better just assuming there's this higher source. For some magic reason, things magically start to fall in place. And then I'm thinking, fuck, shit. No, why? But then for me, it works much better. So even given that scientific approach isn't that, well, I wouldn't call it proof, but maybe a slight indication that there's what, I don't know. That's more real than what I had thought before. I don't know.
And how does it look like when your life falls into place?
Things happen out of their own accord, and I don't have to force them. For example, last year I got so set on this more revenue idea. I was like, oh fuck, I have to go out there and acquire customers, and I got myself a huge sales training and went out on trade fairs and talked to people and contacted them and then called them up later and be like, hey, do you want to buy my shit? Because I'm totally not interested in you, but I want that you give me your money. Well, that's of course not what I said, but that was the intention behind it. And did it work?
0.
No, it didn't work. And then I stopped that, and magically customers appeared. Where I was like, oh, I didn't think that would work at all. I didn't know I was doing something right now. I thought I stopped. Well, I certainly stopped what I did before. And that's what I mean. It's just, I got so fixed on that idea and trying to push it through. It just didn't work. And then I let go, and somehow I'm still here. Somehow I still have a business. These were all things I was like, oh my God, if I don't actively pursue my customer acquisition, I don't know, if I don't actively pursue this sales stuff, I'm gonna die. My business is gonna die. I have to fire my employees. Everything's gonna go to shit. No, it didn't.
And what is the magic piece you said that magically appeared? Because that's the part that sounds always like so woo, and it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, yeah.
But how? what's the?
I think if
earthly manifestation of this.
If I really want to break it down, it's probably because we are all. Everyone is so acutely aware of the intentions of their of whom they are talking to. And I think it's narrowly pursuing my own goals, those fake goals which were made up in my mind, forces me probably into a state which is very unnatural, and that is picked up instantly by everyone I talk to. On, for example, the trade fair. I didn't go there because I was interested in the person I was talking to. I didn't go there because, I mean, sometimes, yeah, but I was more interested in, do you want to give me money? When and how much? And that kills every interaction instantly. And the moment I managed to let go of my own narrow goal and realizing how much I pushed myself into that corner, I didn't repel people constantly. I mean, I wasn't worse at these. I mean, it was not that I had a lot of great interactions, but my underlying intention always was, how can I grow my business? And yeah, of course, I have to listen to you and kind of understand your problem. And of course, I can also help you. I mean, I wasn't ingenuine if I noticed I couldn't help someone, I did not. I just told them. But it was still off, I think. So I think if you ask me, what's the earthly piece that fell into place? It was a change of my own intention. But no one tells you this. If you book a sales training, that's not what it's about. And it's still, again, unfortunately, sales techniques work. So it's so easy for me to fall for this stuff and not notice what's actually going on, which I think is just playing a game which has no meaning and no end. It's just an ongoing. And yeah, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. To me, it sounds that it comes from a place, the goals come from a place that is not inside of us.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is some sort of societal goals or comparison with others that seem like
something I just thought up
status.
myself.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm going to be happier if I achieve that. I mean, that's.
But I think that's still from the outside.
Okay.
That they, based on Instagram social comparison, we get these images through advertisement, who we should be, that make us happy. And from that, we form our ideas and our goals.
Yeah.
And that's what we're pursuing, essentially.
Yes.
But what you do when you actually go inward and ask, okay, what is my actual intention? Oh, I want to make more money. I don't want to talk to other people who actually just have that intention, and they're not interested in me. And so what is my actual intention? Oh, maybe it is actually to help other people.
It does sound so weird.
Right?
I'm completely on the same page, but I basically 10 minutes ago I said the exact same thing, and now you're saying it back to me, and even I go like, yeah, sure. Finding your own intention. What a fucking weird hippie are you? Don't you want to achieve something in your life? Don't you want to get ahead? You fucking loser. I don't know. It's such an odd topic. It's because there's this constant battle in my mind. Yeah. But sorry, I interrupted you. But it's just such a weird thing.
It's so odd that those two forces are there. And I think it's sort of like, because if you are in the space where you actually allow yourself to feel and be like what your true intention is, right? Can I just finish? But what your true intention is, how would that feel? Because then usually if you just allow that without the judgment that you just perfectly showed, like without that judgment, it would just be good, like content. Like, oh, I want that. That feels good to me. Let me just pursue that.
Why is it so important to us to feel that? Why is it so important to us to feel as if we're on the right path? Isn't that in itself not just why not dispense with this idea?
It doesn't matter whether we're on the right path or not.
No, but what I mean, because what we're kind of pointing to in this podcast is that they're obviously, or we assume, or we act if there are motivations in us that are truer than others. And it's more worthwhile to pursue the things that feel truer to us. Right? So far, okay.
I think so, yeah.
Why is it so important? Why not say, fuck it, I want to make a lot of money? I mean, it's not bad, it's bad example. It's not about making a lot of money. It's great. If you want to do that, go for it. It's not the point. It's more like, why do we discriminate, or why do we assume it is worthwhile to discriminate against some ideas and not others? That's a fucking mystery to me. Huh.
I think to an extent, the personalities, I think that we are, at least also the most of the people in my surrounding, they try to be good. They want to be good. They want to be helpful. They want to be resourceful. And I think that's partly wired in our biology, that we're social beings. We want to be good in some extent, and we get validation from other people. Otherwise, we get kicked out of the tribe and we die. So I think there's some biological mechanism that makes us feel good when we are useful to other people. And at the same time, I think you're fully right.
I think, yeah. I mean, we want to be helpful to other people. I think, yeah. Whoa, it's so weird because it's basically boils down to what do I value more? I mean, there are probably a million ways how we can be helpful to others. Why do we chose the specific ones we chose? And then probably the answer is, yeah, well, because we're kind of more interested in them than the others. But why are we more interested in them?
What do you mean now? Like, for example, advertisement in psychology, or?
No, anything. I could go out here and just wait on the street until some old lady wants to cross, and then I help her. That would be very helpful in that moment to that person. I could do a million things. I could go to the other offices and offer them to clean their offices, whatever. There's so many ways to be helpful, but we don't do those, and we do others. So why? And to me, I don't know why I'm interested, because I think it's because we're more interested in them, but we didn't choose that really. And that's, again, one more thing. Just like I don't know the next sentence I'm gonna say, that what I'm interested in or what I want to pursue and feel is more valuable to pursue is also a complete mystery to me. I don't know why I do those things. It just feels more right. But that's just really a bad answer to that question.
Feels right.
Yeah, it's just great. Yeah.
I get some sensation in my body that tells me, go on.
Exactly. Fuck. And I want to bet my life on that? Jesus Christ. That sounds like a terrible idea. Yeah, but it feels right. Go and do it. Jesus. Fuck. Yeah.
And I think there to me, that idea of doubt comes in so easily.
Absolutely.
Because like we have this,
because it seems, yeah, sorry, yeah,
this idea of how things should go, or
Yeah.
how we learned things from society, from our parents, and then most of the time we go against it, and we doubt going back.
Yeah.
And there's just almost a natural thing that we need to doubt whatever we do.
Yeah. I think also if you were to go around and ask people, hey, should I bet my life on a feeling? Everyone would say no. Fuck no, Jesus, yeah, you have to think about it a bit more. But essentially, at the end of the day, I think that's what we are doing. We fucking bet on our lives that the feeling of purpose we have is the right path, guides us on the right pathway. I think that's, I guess, what we're doing. And it's amazingly exciting, but it seems really dumb at the same time. I don't know.
That is so good. Because like that feeling that, I mean, it is just a feeling that we think, that we perceive we are connected to purpose or the higher source, or that feels just true to myself. That is the right thing to go after. And in the thinking about it might be like weird.
Yeah. And in the same, I mean, and then the assumption is that there are, I'm just trying to piece together, because there are these philosophical streams which basically say, oh, all feelings are the same. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is the same. There's no difference. But it's not how we act, at least the two of us, because we very clearly, and it feels so right. And it's a different form, at least for me, of right when I achieve one more step towards my ego goals. That's a complete, I might be happy. Oh, great. I made that presentation. It went really well. Great. I'm probably going to get that customer. That's a completely different, it's not even in the same universe. Whereas this feeling of purpose of, yes, that's exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. That's just overwhelmingly positive to me, at least. And it's a complete, and this I trust. But then if I look at these streams of, well, everything is the same. How do we bring that together? You know what I mean?
So those philosophies, I don't know which ones are those, but like these are saying essentially that all sensations that we have in our body are negligible in a way. So like all the same, nothing is more important than the other, and we just go and do whatever. That's how it sounds to me. And in contrast, it's then, oh, but there's this feeling where is that just feels right, like
Yeah.
a truth, like
Yes.
something that sinks in, and you
Yes.
there's no isn't knowing. It's not like a, oh, I think
Yes.
that's probably better. It's like,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. That's that.
It's when you heard the first time, I trust you to show me what I need to see, is like, oh, that just hits.
Yeah.
And I think it feels true because it feels beyond the humanness.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
It doesn't feel like somebody made it up, somebody thought it up, or I just came up with that. It feels like beyond me. That's
So
why I feel I value it more.
yeah. So going back to what you said earlier, that you don't believe that there's something, or I don't know if you said it like that you don't believe logically.
No, I said
you
I
don't
did
believe.
not.
You did not. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But you do now, or
I have to.
I have. Yeah. Fuck yeah. It's so good. It's so good. It's like, oh, I don't really want to. No, I don't, but I gotta shit. No. Yeah.
Like
That's
because I noticed how much I cannot trust whatever I come up with and my thoughts, and how limited my thinking is, my logical brain is.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
just so many
Yes.
limitations to it.
Yeah.
And the thoughts, I can't trust the thoughts because they just come and they
Yes.
go, and they're not
Yes.
necessarily helpful. Like I see those
Yes.
patterns happening over and over again.
Yes.
And like this thought of, yeah, I should be angry at that person now because they did something that
Yes.
didn't
They
fit with
did
my
something
plans.
wrong. Yes. Oh
Exactly.
yeah. Even better. Even better. They did not fit with my plans and my expectations, so they are wrong. Great.
Exactly.
It's so great to see in my 3-year-old. It's the exact same thing he does. It's like the other day we went into the kitchen and he just loves peaches. And right now, you know, peach season and so on. And so, oh, Daddy, I want to have a peach. And I was like, sorry, you ate the last one before it. We don't have any. But I want one. There should be one. Where? And it's so amazing to see. I mean, if I am able to snap out of my anger to see that it's exact same thing he does, what I do. Oh, well, he shouldn't behave that way. It's really annoying that he behaves that way. And it doesn't mean I let him, I don't put boundaries around that situation and let my kid do everything. Oh, well, who am I to judge? No, I do judge, but I don't have to do it in an angry way. I don't have to be mad at him and be like, oh, you're wrong for doing this. And it's the exact same thing. It's like, you don't match my expectations, so I'm angry at you. Fuck.
And then when you see that in your 3-year-old, it's
Yes,
like,
it's the
wait,
same.
I'm doing that exactly the same way. Or no, I'm sophisticated. I'm a grown-up by now.
Yes.
I know better.
Yeah, he's a 3-year-old. He can't do it. He can't do it in any other way. And that's probably true. But I do the same thing. I can do differently.
Oh, a great example.
Okay.
Damn.
And it's also, it's so interesting to see how early this behavior starts. And that I by far have not let go of that just yet. We'll see. But Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's such an important insight, that realizing that even though it sounds so sophisticated in our minds, we have all these reasons, these logical reasons why I should have gotten this revenue, or I should have gotten these clients, and you're angry about that. It sounds so logical and makes so much sense in your mind. And when you look at that as if you look at a 3-year-old, it's just not there. So there's none.
Yeah.
And so what are you going to do about that?
Yeah. And
Well,
also,
at first I have to accept that, right? Okay,
yeah.
there's a difference between how I want things to be and how they actually are.
Yeah.
Like recently I had in a podcast that he had this great quote on Instagram that if you say should, you're essentially in resistance with reality.
Yes. Yeah.
It should be different, but it's not. It doesn't exist, this
There
reality that you
should be
want.
peaches. There
Yeah.
should be peaches. Yes.
Well, they're not there.
Yeah. And I think that there's a second mechanism to it, because right now we talked about anger, but the second one is fear. And that gets me much more. It's like, if I don't get that client, this means and if I go to the end of that line, all bad things, I have to close my business, I have to leave we have to move to another place because we can't afford the rent, blah blah. And at the end, I'm gonna die. Like this, and this stream of thoughts gets me much more, or got me much more than anger. Maybe it's reversed right now that I talk about it, but this fear for years, would get me much more.
I recently had a client who, she's so nice, so kind, and whenever she needs to say no to somebody, there's this deep feeling in her chest as if somebody punches you in the solar plexus, takes all the air out of your lungs, and feels like she gets like a grip around her throat, and the hold is getting stronger and stronger the longer she waits in that feeling and does not say yes. And
Wow.
that was so intense recently to see, hey, there's this fear that they might not like me, I feel worthless, I'm not supporting them, I'm the worst person. Like all these thoughts come up.
And all bullshit. It's all bullshit. As at some point I realized that my mind, when it shows me fearsome scenes, my mind shows me exactly and precisely what is not going to happen. I can't even explain it. It's just, out of all things, these things I fear are not going to happen. And I don't even know why, but I'm absolutely 100% sure of it. So it's a great movie to fear. But yeah. And I just realized I forgot it. I have forgotten it. Because there just in the past week, there were a couple of things where I put pressure on my child, on my wife, because that's exactly what I believed again, that these fears, if I don't act now, this is going to happen. But it's just not true. It's just not true. And I think if I want to have a worldly explanation for that, it's probably because I've seen that image, and if the situation really does move in that direction, I'm going to notice immediately. It's like, oh, I don't know, my child is going to run into that car which is going to come over there. I'm just going to grab it. It's going to be instantaneous. I don't have to think about it. And yeah. Whew. It's so easy to fall into these traps.
And now anything that you want to do about it?
I don't think there's anything to do. It's the shift. And I think all the shift is needed lies in noticing. Because then it's not gonna happen anymore. Oh man, well no, that's maybe it's maybe not gonna happen as often. Let's say it that way. But I think it's really it's again one of these it's so magical, because that's also the very, very closely connected to this. Oh, I have to achieve this goal. It's always about doing. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? But it really doesn't matter because doing is only a consequence of perceiving. And when I perceive, and well, man, just so smart. But it's really like that. It's when I perceive it differently, when I perceive the situation differently, I'm gonna act differently. So, and I think, the key again to noticing, to perceiving it differently is just to notice. Be open again, going back to the very first thing. Being open to be shown sometimes. Or maybe always. Such an odd path.
And when you get up or when you are in a situation that you, any situation essentially, how do you become aware? How do you notice those things?
Pain is
Is
good
it something?
for that.
What's say again?
Pain is good for that. I think always when I'm in pain or if I suffer, there's something I do not perceive correctly.
In pain or in suffering? I think they're different to me.
What's pain for you? Is that bodily or is that?
Pain is also the pain of a breakup or the grieving of a person, but it's sort of the necessary thing to feel because something left. There's a final
real.
thing.
It's real.
It's real. And suffering is made up by the mind. It's something that you hold longer. The almost the phantom pain after you I don't know, had a mosquito bite, and it's still like for the days it's I don't know, afterwards you still have the pain.
Well, probably
like no, that's for me the difference in pain and suffering.
Probably both is good because no matter what, if I am aware in that situation, only then I'm able to distinguish between the two. And
And recently I was in that Shaolin retreat, and that was so surprising to me. One of the biggest lessons they repeated over and over again was you are much more capable once you relax.
Yeah.
Once you can perceive the moment fully because you're not tense. If you tense, then you essentially cut off some information to receive. You're like in your mind, you're one direction, you have sort of the tunnel vision. If you're open, like literally physically, but also eyes and the mind is open, you can perceive way more, as you said. You can be much more aware of what is happening. You have a much fuller picture of the moment and what is actually happening. And I feel like we do need tension, but we need both. But I think, at least in my case, I am so much more on the tension side than I am on the relaxation side.
100%, yeah.
There was this real easy exercise that they did. There was in the Tai Chi part of this. So there was this torturing and really difficult exercises. And there was on the other side, the Tai Chi part, which is, for energy to flow, you need to be relaxed. Otherwise, you're cutting off your energy source to do whatever. Like if you're tense, you're cutting off the energy from the earth, essentially. And so there was this exercise where essentially, at first they started with, you have like one arm to the front, one to the back, then you let both drop, and then one arm is to the front and one is to the back. Super easy. And then after a couple of minutes, they were like, stop, let's go into smaller groups and practice just with one arm. I was like, why? Okay, strange. And then they were showing us exactly what we were doing wrong. What we were doing wrong was we had the arm there, then we moved the arm to the bottom and to the top. We didn't actually relax. We didn't let the arm just go fully, relax the shoulder fully, and the arm naturally swang back to the other side. No, we had continuously a little bit of tension in the shoulder, and for us, other people, quite a bit of tension. And you notice, like in other people, like, it's so funny, they still have their shoulder up and move their arm. And then I look at my own, oh my God, same thing. I couldn't fully relax the shoulder and just let the arm drop because I was so, I don't know, the tension was just naturally there. And it was
naturally
so
there. Yeah.
naturally there. I like, it was as if that was the most natural thing. But then I was being held the mirror and being shown, no, there's still so much tension in your body that you perceive as that as the normal thing. I'm like, oh. So when I think I relax, I'm still like 40% in tension. And I was like, ooh. Wow, that was, yeah. That was interesting to see. And then we were practicing for just half an hour, just letting the arm go. It's like, what the, such a stupid exercise, and made me realize so much. Yeah.
That's such a good story.
And then the fun part is, there was the master Xiang Yi, and whenever he was showing something, like presenting a form or something like that, we were practicing that at first, and then he was showing us how it's actually been done. And the most important part is, it's not about the form, it's how you do the form. And they're like these sometimes difficult stances, and like horse stands, or like leaning to one side fully, and like sometimes really difficult to do. And the important part about those stances are not that you're holding them strong and holding them tense, but actually it's a whole movement. And only when you do, for example, do the hit at the end, it's like the last 2% or 1% that you actually tense the muscle when you hit something. And everything else before needs to be relaxed. Otherwise, you can't be that fast, actually. And the energy cannot flow through your body if you cut it off with your tension. And so they had this great example. It's like as if you like just hit with your fist. It's different as if you hit with your whole body, from the feet, the ground, the hips, the shoulder, and put all that your body weight into that fist. That is a completely different hit than just like moving the arm. And that's what they equated a little bit to. If you relax this, the whole body can actually be in that fist rather than just moving that fist.
Do you think this mode of being maybe or came naturally to them, or is it also? So what I'm trying to get at is, do you think this whole tensing up is a property, so to speak, of our culture, or is that natural to everyone, but they just practiced much more and thus are in that mode right now and can teach that?
I think the people who are teaching that have done that for the past 30 years. So they actually understand. They actually went into the practices. They actually learned all of that
But did
for a
they?
very long time.
But do you think they did come from from a similar place, as in they were tense all the time, and then it was this odd and miraculous thing that you're actually much more powerful when you are relaxed? Because at least to me, that is what is so feels so new and odd to me. This, hey, I actually am allowed, not allowed, but I can actually let go of things, and then everything works much better. That is, I think, right now what confuses me, so to speak, the most. But do you think that that assumption that I got to be tense and I have to achieve it, that is something we have more prominently in our culture, in the Western culture? Or is that something which is just a natural tendency of every human being to be fearful, to be doubtful, to be whatever all we talked about? Or do you think maybe the whole culture where this Tai Chi comes from is more relaxed around that? Do you know what I mean?
Hmm. What I think is that in the recent years and centuries, our culture, I think, has gone towards this productivity thing. They might also be a bit connected to the financial system that we have, like always doing more and more and more. Because what our body and what nature is sort of more laid out to is having balance. And we sort of went a lot more into this because there's this yin and yang, the 100% balance. And we've leaned a lot more into yang in the past, I don't know, decades and probably maybe even centuries. And I think that's what's coming out now as the strong one, the tense one. But if you actually want to be strong, you have to have the relaxation, because that's when your body actually regenerates. That's when you actually get all that your whole body gets fixed and the energy recharges. That's when you actually have or create power again. And yeah, I think that is more like a symptoms or a sign of how we are moving at the moment, rather than how it should be or how it's naturally be. But when you look at nature, there's no relaxation without tension. There's no tension without relaxation. There's no day without night. Like everything is like always there's one way and there's the other way. And I think that's why recently there's much more relaxation exercises. There's meditation coming to the West, because that's essentially what we need right now, because we're too much leaning on that tension side.
It's a great example with a punch, what you just said, because essentially I think this is the same decision I can take every day when I go into the office, which I said before, just see what happens, what's relevant right now. It's actually being relaxed and not in that tense state and be like, oh, I have to punch this and I have to punch that and I have to punch here. It's like, no. Stop what you're doing and notice how your arm is still tense when you are doing this. It's the same concept. So contrary to, seems so at odds and contrary to that being productive and being, getting ahead and all this stuff. So funny.
Is there something still coming up to your mind that you would like to mention or would like to talk about?
No, I think I'm good. We touched on a lot of points.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot to think about or to, yeah, it's great. It's a fucking adventure.
Okay. Then I'm just so grateful that this recording was so close to our natural, normal conversations, because they're
Yeah.
so valuable all the time to me. And that you were open to doing that, because I think there's another, level of relaxation, of openness to this being recorded, because once
Yeah.
there is something being perceived,
Yes.
the perception changes.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that you went into that journey with me.
Yeah. I hope we did a good job of that, because as you said in the beginning, I really noticed that we're trying to get to that point where we just, how we usually talk, like this immense, to me, immense, valuable and intense, don't even want to call it talk, but yeah, it's, thanks for the opportunity, and really interesting. Thank you.
I really enjoyed it too. Yeah. All right. Then that's it for today. Awesome. You listened to the full episode. Your investment to a more calm, confident, and doubtless self. Now you can make a commitment to yourself and help others discover this podcast simply by subscribing and following the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. I hope to see you here soon again for the new episode dropping every other Thursday. Talk soon.